Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Foreign Strategies. Prepare for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Delane Isaac, one half Foreign Strategies. Today is going to be an appreciation video for Afro-Latina girls. Today I'm going to talk about five reasons why I love Afro-Latina women. Let's get into it, all right? So, first one, culture. Now, when I went to Mexico City not too long ago, I was in Mexico for 5 months. During that time, I met a Mexican black woman and she was really cool. And I know right off the bat, culturally, we just connected because her father was black, her mom was Mexican. And then she grew up under the African-American influence, also the Mexican-American or Mexican influence. And I just noticed right off the bat that culturally we had things in common. You know, black folks in America, we got the cookouts, you know what I mean? We have the birthdays, we have the dancing, we have our traditions. We have a lot of ways that's nobody does it like us, right? And what I noticed with her is that she has that side as well, but she also has the Mexican traditions. And those traditions were cool too because she was bringing me into that world. And then once she brought me into that world, I was like, wow, you know, we could relate because we're both black, but also there's another element to it. She's Mexican. So she was teaching me about the Mexican values. Guys, I'm outside right now. There's a lot of people out enjoying, so excuse me for the noise. I'm apologize in advance. Secondly, I'm gonna talk about racism. Now, during the last few months, I'll say about 6 months ago, a lot of things were going down in America. A lot of racism was on the rise and a lot of protesting, a lot of crazy stuff was happening in America. And I decided that I wanted to get out, right? I needed a break. I was always, every time I check on the news, something bad was always happening. And I was just really I'm already traumatized, my ancestors are traumatized too, but I was just being more traumatized and I was just tired of seeing it. So I just needed a break. I needed to unplug. You know, they raided the Senate or the White House or whatever the case may be. They raided the Capitol Hill. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to Mexico. It's open. They don't have crazy restrictions. And let me tell you the peace that I felt when I went back to Mexico. I never looked at the news, and there's a calmness that came over me. And they said one of the best things you need to do is meditate. And when you meditate, you add years to your life. And this is facts, guys. So what I noticed is that when I was with her, she didn't have that trauma, right? Because she has that Mexican influence and also with the black influence. So she could understand me, but at the same time, we didn't have that talk about racism as much, but we understood each other. There was a hidden veil or understanding hey, I know you've been through the black experience, you know what I mean? She's from Portland and she grew up in Portland. And majority of our conversations wasn't about that. It was about just having a good time. But, you know, I asked, I was like, hey, how was it in Portland? And she said, you know, Portland was one of the most racist cities in the United States. Portland is actually a newly open, divided place. Right now, it's just you know, Portland Trailblazers, obviously, majority of people who play for that team is black. Now it's you know, it's much better, but it was one of the last cities to actually be acclimated and adapt to less racism. I mean, let's keep it real, there's still racism everywhere, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing, goes without saying, guys, beauty. Now, what I noticed is that when I looked at Brazil, I noticed I was looking for African-American, Afro-Latina experience, influence. Particularly, I was looking at the numbers, and I think the most Afro-Latin women are in Salvador, and then the list goes on and on. There's in Colombia. So what I really noticed is that their skin tone was like mine, and I love that skin tone. It's so rich, it's so beautiful, it ages really well. So it's very hard to tell how old an Afro-Latin woman is. And they have beautiful hair, gorgeous hairstyles. It's very diverse. They can rock it long, they can rock it short, and I feel every time I see a different style, I'm like, wow, that looks beautiful, that looks beautiful. So it's there's no style that I particularly like the most. I just like it all. So I'm just showing my appreciation for a lot of Afro-Latino women. They're gorgeous, man. Like, you know, particularly I noticed that they come in different sizes, and all the sizes I really enjoy. Like, you got the model-esque ones, you have the thicker ones with the bigger size bodies, and it's really crazy how like I'm just really attracted to them. And I noticed there's a big population in Colombia, so I'm just like, so I started like researching and looking at the different types of girls online, and I'm like, wow, they're really like killing it. So that goes without saying, like beauty, like it's, you know, it's universal, it's subjective, but when I go to Brazil and take some vacation time, we're gonna start doing these podcasts. Like that's the first thing. That's the first type of girl I'm gonna go after. I'm gonna look after and like be more attracted to. Afro-Latin women, because they just do it for me, and the beauty goes without saying. 4, what I noticed, connection. So when I was in Mexico City and I was hanging out with a Mexican black girl, we really connected, and she decided to go to Puerto Escondido. And she was like, you know, you want to come visit me? So I went to go visit her in Puerto Escondido. So we were out there riding on ATVs, going to bars, hitting the beach. We were doing like fun things. It was amazing, man. Like, this kid is not having it. I don't think this kid agrees with what I'm saying right now, but we're gonna continue. We're gonna keep the show going, right? So I was hanging out with her, and like I had a really good connection with her, and we ended up hanging out again in Mexico City. So like we hung out in 3 different places, and the connection was really great. So I can also see, like, you know how you with someone that's from like another culture, another background, different ethnicity. There's some things that you gotta explain, like lingo, slang, why I wear my hair the way it does. Like there's some of those things you just don't want to answer, because it's like you're just being a human being. You're going without saying. You don't have to like answer every nook and cranny about yourself. Like if I'm hanging out with a girl and she's like, yo, why do you wear your hairstyle like that? I'm not saying that's a silly question, but yeah, that's kind of like a silly question. Like why'd you wear your hairstyle like that? Like, because that's culturally where you grew up to. That's like culturally, that's what people do. We hairstyle a certain way. And a lot of people don't know braids and all the things that we do. If you go back in history, it's a tribal thing. Like a lot of the things, like the braids, they were like, it signifies a different tribe. You guys can fact check me. You can go in the comments, let me know if you agree or not. But I remember I took a class on this in a university. I was like, you know, I love to get my hair cornrowed, but I was like, why? Why is it this way? So a lot of tribes were like, even if you look at like Black Panther, like everybody had different styles, they had different colors. So it was like a tribal thing. You know, sometimes like at his subconscious level, at his deeper core, everybody has a different tribe. Your tribe, in fact, attracts your vibe, right? So someone from Poland has a different tribe, a different way of thinking than a brother that's from Compton, or a brother that's from Detroit, or even a Mexican guy in like Cancun or something like that, right? So connection is very important, and I feel like connection is something that I definitely bond with Afro-Latin women. The 5th and final thing, I'm just gonna keep this short, guys. I wanna sum it up real quick, is adaptability. You know, one of the things I notice is that I'm not saying Afro-Latin women can be spies, but they kind of can be spies, right? Like the Mexican black girl that I was hanging out with, we were going to different spaces in Mexico, and she was speaking Spanish fluently. And I was like, damn, looking at her like wow, like, she's like my translator. And then we can go in another space, and it'd be black folks, and it'd be cool. So it's just like, she can move easily in different spaces because she's brought up to like speak with Spanish. Most Afro-Latin women, they can speak English and they can speak Spanish or Portuguese and English. And it's like, man, they're so easily to adapt to different situations because they got the language, they got the different culture, they got this dual lifestyle that they intertwine growing up, that they can just move to different spaces easily. And I really think that's really cool, because when I was hanging out with the girl from Portland, I was like, man, you know, I really want to hang out with her more, because I feel like I'm so in my space that I don't really think about that. Because most of the time when I was in Mexico, a lot of people were asking me silly questions, and I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I'm ready to get out of Mexico. But like when I meet people like that, Afro-Latin women, they can relate with me more. They know what it is to be like for example, I was talking to this girl in Brazil. She's from Rio, and we actually did a podcast together, like a live on Instagram. And she was talking about how the amount of racism they get in Rio, and I was like, wow, I was so blown away. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, the darker your skin is in Rio, the more like racism you felt. And I was just blown away because I was like, yo, that's exactly how I felt. But she can just go to like United States and she can move like an American because she looks American. So she has this adaptability, you know what I mean? She could just go to like Rio and fit in there. And she can go to like United States and fit in there. And she can go to Mexico. She can possibly pass off as Mexican. She could possibly pass off as Dominican. I could possibly pass off Dominican. I could possibly pass off as a Brazilian. Like if I'm not wearing like bling and all that nonsense, I can pass off. Anyway, guys, I just want to keep it short. That's the 5 things I like about Afro-Latin women. Keep it locked in the meantime, guys. Peace.
Once again, thanks for flying with Foreign Strategies. Make sure you subscribe.
I just wanna win.